a very warm welcome. You're watching GRAVITAS with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top story tonight on GRAVITAS comes from West Asia. Will Israel attack Iran? We tell you why that question is being asked right now. Also, why is Israel struggling to counter the Houthis? We join the dots to get you the bigger picture and tell you why these questions are significant. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. We tell you all about the threat of the Khalistan Zindabad force. What are its origins? What's the story? We tell you all about how a techie was duped and lost 11 crore rupees in a digital arrest scam. With those scams on the rise, we tell you all that you need to know and why such scams are extremely dangerous. All this and much more coming up. Our top story tonight on GRAVITAS comes from West Asia. The region remains on the boil, with the Houthis targeting Israel 3 times in less than a week. The situation has escalated to a dangerous new level. And this has left both Israel and its ally, the United States of America, absolutely perplexed. While the Israeli Prime Minister has vowed to respond, the Houthis show no hesitation in continuing their attacks. On Tuesday morning, sirens blared across central Israel as the Iran-backed Houthis from Yemen launched another ballistic missile. Reports suggesting the Israeli Defense Forces successfully intercepted the missile before it could enter the Israeli airspace using the advanced long-range Arrow air defense system. While no injuries have been reported from the falling debris, a woman is reportedly in a serious condition after falling while rushing to take shelter. The Houthis have vowed to continue their attacks until the Gaza conflict comes to an end. On Saturday, a Houthi missile strike in Tel Aviv left more than a dozen people injured. The Israeli military confirmed that attempts to intercept the projectile launched from Yemen were unsuccessful, and it ultimately struck a public park. A Houthi military spokesperson claimed the attack targeted a military installation using a hypersonic ballistic missile.
The Yemeni Armed Forces Drone Air Force carried out 2 military operations. The first targeted a military target of the Israeli enemy in the occupied Ashkelon region using a Jaffa drone. The operation achieved its goal successfully, thanks to God.
وقد حققت العملية هدفها بنجاح بفضل الله.
Last week, Israel's military launched deadly strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen on Thursday, just hours after the Iran-backed group's latest attack on Israel. 9 people were killed and 3 others injured in Israeli airstrikes on a port and oil facility near the capital, Sana'a. The Israeli strikes targeted the Hezaz and the Haban power stations near the capital, and the Hodeidah port and Rasisa oil facility. Israel's military said the airstrikes were in retaliation for Houthi missile and drone attacks on Israel. On Sunday, Prime Minister Netanyahu warned that Israel would respond to the Houthi rebels in Yemen with the same force it has used earlier.
As we acted with force against the terrorist arms of Iran's axis of evil, so we will act against the Houthis. Only in this case we are not acting alone. The United States, as well as other countries, see the Houthis as a threat not only to international shipping, but to the international order.
In fact, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei denies that militant groups around the region function as Tehran's proxies, warning that if his country chose to take action, it would not need them anyway.
The Islamic Republic does not have a proxy force. Yemen fights because it has faith. Hezbollah fights because the power of faith draws it into the field. Hamas and the Islamic Jihad fight because their beliefs compel them to do so. They do not act as our proxy.
So, will Israel now attack Iran? Israeli opposition leader and former defense minister Benny Gantz says Israel must directly target Iran to deter the ongoing Houthi attacks. The national unity leader also called for regional nations and the US to partner with Israel to remove the threat of nuclear Iranian regime. But the question is, why is Israel struggling to counter the Houthi threats or to counter the Houthis? What has made the Houthis such a formidable force? Since at least 2009, Iran has steadily smuggled increasingly sophisticated weapons to the Houthis in Yemen. By 2015, the external operations arm of the Revolutionary Guards, in fact, was providing missile components for local assembly. These weapons, coupled with training and military advisors, have transformed the once disorganized tribal militia into a well-armed, disciplined, and formidable fighting force. By late 2023, the Houthis had gained enough confidence to launch attacks on US warships in the Red Sea, becoming the first group, in fact, to fire anti-ship ballistic missiles. Most of their attacks on commercial ships and warships failed. By mid-2024, they had launched over 100 strikes against Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Israel, Yemeni adversaries, and numerous ships in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, all with weapons supplied by Iran. The Houthis now possess missiles with a claimed range of 2,000 kilometers and drones that can reach up to 2,500 kilometers. They combine Iranian-supplied components with commercially available parts to locally manufacture their drones. On July 19 this year, they carried out an unprecedented attack on Tel Aviv using a modified Samad-3 suicide drone, flying over 1,600 kilometers indirect route from Yemen, approaching from the west. While Israel has expanded its war to Yemen, its battle in Gaza continues. Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades has warned of harm to the Israeli hostages amid the ongoing IDF operations in the besieged Palestinian enclave. The military spokesperson of the Al-Qassam brigades, Abu Obeda, in fact, said the fate of the hostages depends on the progress of the forces, the occupation forces, as he said. As he claimed, they are advancing hundreds of meters in certain areas under attack. Obeda hailed the bravery and the battlefield performance of Hamas's fighters and claimed that Israel was concealing its true loss and the dire condition of its soldiers in northern Gaza. This, as the Israeli military said that 3 of its soldiers have been killed during fighting in the Strip. All 3 served in the Kafir Brigade's Shimshin battalion. Meanwhile, Hana Kadzir, who endured 7 weeks of Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip last year, has died at 78 after months of struggling with medical complications from her time as a hostage. Netanyahu is, however, cautiously optimistic. In fact, in a session in the parliament plenum, he said that some progress has been made in negotiations to secure the deal without actually giving a timeline. The fact is, the war in the region is showing no signs of ending anytime soon. Instead, the situation grows more complex with each passing day. Shifting focus for now, after the encounter of 3 suspected Khalistani operatives in Uttar Pradesh's Pilibhit, a soldier of the British Army is under the radar for his alleged role in the grenade attacks on a police post in Punjab. The state DGP, Gaurav Yadav, in a post on the platform X, identified the British Army soldier as Jagjit Singh, who has adopted the name of Fateh Singh Buggy, reportedly. He said Jagjit is based in the UK and is currently serving in the British Army. According to reports, Jagjit has his roots in Punjab's Taran Taran district, and several of his relatives, including grandfather, father and brother, have served in the Indian Army. Around 10 years ago, he went on to the UK on a student visa and completed a degree in software engineering before enlisting in the British Army as a soldier. On Monday, 3 operatives of Khalistan Zindabad Force were reportedly killed in a joint operation of UP and Punjab police. 2 AK-47 rifles, 2 AK-47 rifles and 2 Glock pistols were recovered from them. The 3 KZF operatives, Varinder Singh, Gurvinder Singh and Jashanpreet Singh, were residents of Kalanor in Punjab who allegedly attacked the police checkpost last week. After the encounter, the DGP said the attack module was masterminded by Ranjit Singh Nita, who is the chief of the militant group and is based in Pakistan. DGP Yadav said Nita operated through Greece-based Jaswinder Singh Manu, who was linked to module leader Varinder, as both of them belonged to the same village. The DGP went on to claim that the British Army soldier Jagjit Singh further controlled the attack module. In the press conference, the DGP further said the investigations are underway to expose all the links and members of the module, following which more recoveries and arrests will be made. This comes after Punjab witnessed 5 attacks in 20 days. Amritsar witnessed 2 attacks. One on December 4, a powerful explosion took place at the Majita police station in Amritsar. The other on December 17, where an explosion took place at the Islamabad police station. On December 13, 2 unidentified men on a motorbike threw a grenade near the entrance of a police station in Batala. On December 18 and December 20, Bakshiwala police station in Batala and Vadala Bangar police station came under a grenade attack. At a time when India and China are witnessing a gradual improvement in ties, there are reports suggesting that Pakistan and China are taking their military ties to new heights. The latest on the list of hardware that Pakistan is looking to procure from China is the J35, a 5th-generation fighter aircraft. Here's what we know so far about Pakistan's J35 deal for 40 stealth fighter aircraft and what it could possibly mean for India. This is the J35A, China's latest stealth fighter jet. This combat aircraft reportedly stands testimony to China's rapid strides in high-end aerospace engineering. This flying machine is what caught everyone's attention at China's Zhuhai Air Show last month. That includes top officials of the Pakistani Air Force. Made by the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation, a unit of the Chinese state-owned Aviation Industry Corporation of China, the J35A is the country's latest 5th-generation fighter jet. Simply put, it is a stealth fighter jet which is less visible to radars as compared to conventional fighters. Stealth is achieved by unique designs that limit the reflection of radar waves and radar-absorbent materials. Stealth fighter technology is a closely guarded secret. So far, only 3 countries, the US, Russia and China, have designed, developed and operationalized stealth aircraft. In fact, the J35A is not China's first stealth fighter. China's first stealth fighter is the J20. With the J35, China now has 2 stealth fighters. America is the only other country to operate two stealth fighter jet platforms, the F-22 and F-35 variants. The F-35 is operated by more than a dozen countries, and more customers are reportedly queuing up to buy it. In fact, Western analysts have pointed out the obvious similarities between the appearance of the American F-35 and the Chinese J-35A, not to mention the naming convention. The South China Morning Post reporting that China will deliver 40 stealth fighter jets to Pakistan in less than 2 years. This would be the first foreign sale of the Chinese stealth fighter jets, which have not had any buyers outside of home. If true, and if it does materialize, this deal could potentially alter the dynamics for Pakistan in relation to India. Already, Pakistan operates the J-10CE and JF-17 fighter jets that are of Chinese origin. This is in addition to French Mirages and American F-16. China's potential J-35 deal with Pakistan is interesting on many counts. Firstly, China has just demonstrated the J-35A at an air show. By all means, the aircraft's development phase is not fully completed. Experts saying that series production of the J-35A could only commence in 2 to 4 years. Even then, China would perhaps idly focus on equipping itself before exporting to Pakistan. Therefore, it would be safe to imagine that this potential acquisition by Pakistan is at least a few years away. And the most important question is, can a cash-strapped Pakistan really afford to procure, operate and maintain such jets? For India, certainly it would be a concern to have two hostile neighbors that possess stealth fighter jets, especially when it doesn't. India relies on the Russian Sukhoi 30 MKI jets, which are the backbone of its fighter fleet. India has 260 Su-30 MKI jets, with 12 more on order. At present, the Sukhois are 4th generation aircraft, and further upgrades would make them 4.5 generation. India also operates 36 French-origin Rafale aircraft. However, air combat is not just about planes, of course. It relies on training, professionalism, exposure to international exercises, and constant evolution of tactics. While Indian fighter pilots train with dozens of air forces in multilateral exercises, China and Pakistan have rather limited exposure to such war games. Also, it must be remembered that Chinese fighter jets are not battle-tested and used by foreign forces apart from Pakistan. While stealth fighters could give a slight edge to Pakistan, India's formidable Russian-origin S-400 air defense system is among the best in the world and has the capability to engage a wide range of air targets, from drones to fighter jets to missiles. However, India's dwindling strength of fighter jet squadrons is to remain a concern for years to come. By 2025, India would be down to just about 30 fighter jet squadrons, so with each squadron having about 18 planes reportedly. Meanwhile, India's sanctioned squadron strength is supposed to be 42. This is where the acquisition of more stealth jets in China's and Pakistan's inventory causes concern. While the J-35A is meant to cater to the Air Force, China has also learned to be building the J-35, which is meant to operate from aircraft carrier decks. And once ready, the deck-based J-35 would offer a significant boost for China's Navy, which is already the world's largest in fleet strength. Shifting focus, a potential ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine war, perhaps looking closer, with Donald Trump returning to the White House and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky indicating a willingness to cede the Donbas region in exchange for security guarantees. But the question remains, will Europe step up to enforce peace on Ukrainian soil? Our next report decodes.
Under the echoes of booming guns and raining missiles, Ukraine is gearing up to celebrate its third grim Christmas. Kyiv signals readiness to compromise, hinting at territorial concessions to end the war. Moscow too appears willing to halt its brutal campaign if it secures control of the Donbas region after 30 months of bloody fighting. But peace is far from guaranteed. Ukraine fears that a ceasefire could merely allow Russia to regroup, rearm and strike again in the future. To prevent this, NATO's presence on Ukrainian soil is being floated as the most viable option for deterrence. The idea is a no-starter, because Moscow would never agree to the presence of European troops in Ukraine, so close to its own borders. The next big problem is the hard stance taken by the US President-elect. Donald Trump has already made it clear US troops will not be deployed. That leaves Europe to take the onus alone. Experts estimate that between 75,000 and 90,000 European troops would be needed to ensure credible deterrence. The French and the British want their troops on Ukrainian soil, but they know they can't do it alone. President Macron's push for a European peacekeeping force has met resistance, particularly from Poland and Germany, highlighting the deep divisions within Europe about military engagement. Europe must decide, will it enforce peace by force, risking confrontation with Russia, or stand by and watch as Ukraine succumbs to further aggression? The time for avoidance is over. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Have you ever been the victim of a scam? Whether the answer is yes or no, this story will shock you. A 39-year-old software engineer from Bengaluru in India lost 11.8 crore rupees. Let me just repeat that figure for you. 11.8 crore, hard-earned money stolen. How did that happen? Well, he fell prey to a scam. But this is no ordinary scam, by the way. You must have heard of digital arrests by now. That's what happened to him, where fraudsters impersonated as police officials and duped him, a software engineer. Clearly, the threat of digital arrest is as real as it gets. But just how common or uncommon are digital arrest cases in India? What really happens behind the scenes? Let's break it down for you. The police has said that in this complaint, the victim alleged that on November 11, he received a call from a person who claimed to be an officer of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India and claimed that the techie SIM card, which was linked to the Aadhaar card, was used for illegal ads and generating harassing messages. Not just that, the fraudster further claimed that a case was registered in connection with this in Mumbai's Colaba Cyber Police Station. It did not stop at that. As per the FIR, reportedly, later, the techie got a call from a fraudster who claimed that the techie's Aadhaar details were being misused to open bank accounts for money laundering. However, there were red flags all throughout, as the techie was warned to keep the matter strictly confidential. Not just that, the techie was also allegedly threatened with arrest should he fail to cooperate with this fake investigation. There was allegedly a string of commands, including instructions to download the application, hop on a video call where a man dressed in police uniform claimed that the Aadhaar details were tapped by a third party, a businessman, to conduct transactions worth 6 crore rupees. It was also claimed that the techie's case was being heard in the top court, and threats to arrest his family also followed. Imagine what the victim would have gone through. The emotional trauma of being subjected to all of this. Anybody in his position would easily get rattled or scared of the consequences. As fraudsters employ certain fear tactics, over a period of time, the victim transferred a total sum of 11.8 crores in multiple transactions to various bank accounts, fearing repercussions. However, at one point, when the demands grew, he realized that he had been conned. He is not alone, of course. According to the police, a state government employee recently fell victim to cyber criminals and was robbed of 19 lakh rupees after being digitally arrested for 6 hours. This was in Karnataka in India. Back in August, a senior doctor from Uttar Pradesh's Lucknow lost 2.81 crore rupees in a similar case of online duping in November. In UP's Meerut district, suspected cyber criminals posing as CBI and RBI officials put a retired banker and his wife under so-called digital arrest for 5 days straight. But what explains the rise in such cases? And how can you protect yourself? And what really are digital arrests all about? It basically refers to a deceptive tactic used by cyber criminals who falsely claim to have the authority to arrest an individual through digital means, often over the phone or via online channels. What's more, scammers pose as law enforcement or regulatory officials and use threats or intimidation to coerce victims into transferring money or providing personal information, sometimes even claiming that they are involved in illegal activities. You see, when it comes to digital financial frauds, according to India's central bank, RBI, there has been a 5-fold jump between March 2023 and 2024, with money robbed amounting to about 14.57 billion rupees. This is concerning, to say the least. Therefore, what should one do to steer away from digital arrest scams? According to experts, one must take several measures, including reporting suspicious calls, verifying credentials of the caller through official channels, especially if they claim to be a person of authority, avoiding payments when it comes in the form of request or a threat asking for money, preserving evidence in the form of call logs, messages or screenshots, and lastly, keeping calm and educating yourself and also your near and dear ones, so that they don't fall prey to digital fraudsters on the prowl out of sheer fear or panic. First, it was Canada, then the Panama Canal, and now Donald Trump again wants Greenland. Our next report tries to explore why the US president-elect, hinting at an American territorial expansion, is making such statements. Take a look.
Eric Trump's post on X features his father, Donald Trump, humorously depicted as buying Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal through Amazon. But the joke isn't humorous to America's neighbors. In a series of statements that have sent diplomatic shockwaves, President-elect Donald Trump is outlining an expansionist vision that would dramatically reshape North America's political map. His ambitious territorial agenda now encompasses Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal, marking what could be the most dramatic American expansion attempt since the 1867 Alaska Purchase. Trump has slammed the fee imposed on American ships and has suggested that Washington should demand control of the canal be returned.
The United States is the #1 user of the Panama Canal, with over 72% of all transits heading to or from U.S. ports. Think of that. So we built it. We're the ones that use it. They gave it away. Considered one of the great wonders of the world. The Panama Canal opened for business 110 years ago and was built at huge cost to the United States, and It really is big when you consider the lives and the treasure, the equivalent of $1.2 trillion today. You don't hear those numbers.
Panama's president rejects the threats of Trump. The people of Panama are calling the idea crazy.
I think it's completely crazy. It's a statement from a totally unbalanced person because the canal is Panamanian and they have used it enough during the years that the canal was under their control.
It would be unfair for him to make the decision alone to take over the canal again. I truly believe that we Panamanians can continue to manage the canal and move the country forward without any obligations to other countries.
Trump has renewed calls for the US to purchase Greenland, a semi-autonomous Danish territory covered mostly in ice. Greenland's strategic location in the Arctic and its reserves of rare earth minerals have made it a focal point for Trump, especially as melting ice opens new naval and commercial routes. Trump argues that American control over Greenland is crucial for national security and economic growth. But Greenland isn't the only target. Trump has taken aim at Canada, repeatedly suggesting that the US should annex its northern neighbor. On social media, he has referred to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as Governor Trudeau. He even floated the idea of making Canada America's 51st state, sparking outrage in Ottawa. These territorial ambitions are causing unease both domestically and internationally, raising questions about sovereignty, diplomacy, and global stability. Critics warn that such moves could provoke serious geopolitical conflicts, while Trump supporters praise his vision of expanding American influence. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
On to South Korea now. Should the country make nuclear bombs? A straight question that perhaps bears complex answers. In the past 2 years, this seemed to have become a matter of mainstream political debate in the country, in fact. A poll revealing that 73% of South Koreans believe the country should develop its own nuclear weapons. In fact, according to a report by The Times, more and more people in South Korea are of the opinion that the country needs to acquire its own nuclear weapons. The survey commissioned by the Che Institute for Advanced Studies, a Seoul-based think tank, and conducted by Gallup Korea, revealing that almost 3 out of 4 South Koreans seem to be in favor of nuclear arsenal to be developed on its own land. Why is this noteworthy? You see, this marks a decisive shift, as earlier such a move was viewed as either radical, far-fetched, or not concerning too many people, barring international relations experts. This was true till about, say, 5 years back. So what really changed over time is the question. Just for context here, just last year, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol created ripples internationally, saying that acquiring tactical nuclear weapons was very much on the cards for Seoul and that it could be achieved pretty quickly. However, later he reversed his say on the matter. But what it did was build a momentum in a way around something that could have far-reaching consequences not only for South Korea but for the entire region and beyond. So much so that experts say it's no longer a matter of if, but when for South Korea's nuclear ambitions to turn into a reality. But why is this a big deal? As a treaty ally of the US, South Korea shelters beneath the US nuclear umbrella. This even as American nuclear weapons were removed from the South in 1991. What's more, South Korea is a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which essentially is a treaty aimed at limiting the spread of nuclear weapons and even promotes a policy of denuclearization on the peninsula. What does that do? This was aimed at basically pressurizing North Korea into dismantling its growing arsenal of warheads as well as the ballistic missiles capable of delivering them. However, what happened was the polar opposite of what was expected. As per reports, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un further intensified his weapons program and ramped up military efforts, not essentially to threaten the US, but to, in a way, create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty among Americans regarding their response to a potential conflict between North and South Korea. And what's more, the strategic alliance between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un also cannot be overlooked, with North Korean troops now deployed to fight in Ukraine, which also gives rise to the possibility of Russia arming North Korea with advanced technology, reportedly to counter the US. And this puts South Korea in a rather tricky spot, and perhaps substantiated its concerns of developing its own nuclear program to defend itself from external forces and strengthen its own military capabilities. But this begs an important question. How achievable is it? You see, as per reports, this is a move which will be met with both political and practical obstacles. Plus, developing such a program would need a good deal of investment, including significant military and scientific undertakings. Will South Korea actually go about this path? Only time will tell. Shifting focus now to India, the Indian Meteorological Department has predicted light to heavy rainfall in several parts of India, while the cold wave continued to grip several parts of the country. According to the Meteorological Department, the well-marked low-pressure area over the southwest and adjoining west-central Bay of Bengal is likely to move west-southwestwards, which will bring light to heavy rainfall in southern India. As per IMD predictions, dense fog conditions are very likely in isolated parts of states in North India. Ground frost is also predicted in the state, along with Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, northeast India. Heavy snowfall and an intense drop in mercury levels have been witnessed in Himachal Pradesh. Fresh spell of heavy snowfall in Himachal Pradesh's Manali left several vehicles stuck and tourists stranded in their vehicles for hours between Solang and Atal Tunnel in Rohtang. According to officials, around 1,000 vehicles were stuck in a long traffic jam, prompting the police to launch a rescue operation and shift around 700 tourists to safe places. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir recorded 19.43 degrees Celsius this morning. According to the Indian Meteorological Department forecast, the minimum and maximum temperatures are expected to be minus 28.41 degrees Celsius and minus 16.13 degrees Celsius. Light to moderate rainfall and snowfall likely at isolated places over the western Himalayan region, including Himachal Pradesh as well. Moving to South India, in coastal Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Rayalaseema, light to moderate rainfall accompanied by thunderstorms and lightning at few places. It's predicted for today. Moreover, isolated places in coastal Andhra Pradesh and Rayalaseema may witness even heavy rainfall during the day. Meanwhile, light to moderate rainfall is very likely over coastal Odisha, with the possibility of heavy rainfall in isolated parts. However, thunderstorms and lightning will not be seen in the area. Shifting focus, Gen Z and millennials are in a way rewriting the rules of workplaces, or trying to. From ditching workaholism to embracing balance, discovering how the next generation could reshape future of the workplace. Take a look.
The office grind is no longer cutting it for millennials and Gen Z, and they're making it known. According to a new Gallup report, while employees aren't leaving in droves, they are disengaged and welcoming a new era of the Great Detachment. Over half of US workers are job hunting, yet only 18% report feeling satisfied in their current roles. It's not that they are quitting, it's that they're checked out. This sense of detachment is partly fueled by the chaos of the past few years. Rapid organizational changes, constant restructuring and pandemic-driven shifts in work culture have left many of them questioning, is this really what we signed up for? Work-life balance flexibility, and meaningful work are no longer just perks. They are expectations, and when companies fail to meet those expectations, they start looking for something that does. The rise of hybrid and remote work is another factor contributing to this disconnect. While young workers love the freedom, the emotional distance it creates often leaves them feeling isolated. Zoom meetings can't replace the camaraderie of face-to-face interaction, and working from home sometimes means working alone without the support and engagement they crave. For employers, this isn't just a temporary phase, it's a wake-up call. They're not just clocking in for the paycheck, they want purpose and connection. If businesses don't step up, they risk losing the talent that's been leading change for the last decade. The Great Detachment isn't just about dissatisfaction, it's a sign that the workplace needs to evolve or they'll simply move on. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Breaking all records, NASA's Parker solar probe is now diving deeper into the sun's inferno than any human-made object. The spacecraft, designed to withstand temperatures of 1400 degrees Celsius and endure radiation levels that would destroy any ordinary spacecraft in seconds, is attempting to touch the sun. Our next story taking a closer look at this fascinating journey and the answers that the mission is trying to find.
The sun, our life giver, the center of our solar system. Its warmth sustains us, but its mysteries remain untamed. What lies beyond its fiery surface? For the first time in history, a spacecraft dares to find out. In a breathtaking display of engineering prowess and scientific ambition, NASA's Parker solar probe is executing its most daring maneuver yet, a perilous plunge into the sun's outer atmosphere, known as the corona. At its closest approach, the probe is 6.2 million kilometers from our star's surface.
If you think about the Earth and the sun being on a meter stick, we're actually getting within 4 centimeters of the sun on that edge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
This $1.5 billion spacecraft, launched in 2018, is pushing the boundaries of human exploration in ways previously thought impossible. Protected by a cutting-edge carbon composite shield, Parker is withstanding temperatures exceeding 1,370 degrees Celsius as it pierces through the sun's mysterious corona. This region, despite being visible only during total solar eclipses, holds the key to some of our star's most perplexing mysteries, including why the corona is millions of degrees hotter than the sun's surface.
We're used to the idea that if I am standing next to a campfire and I walk away from it, it gets cooler. But this is not what happens on the sun. As we go from the surface of the sun, which is 10,000 degrees, and quickly move up into the corona, we find ourselves quickly at millions of degrees. So this is a fundamental question that drives not only how this star works, our sun, but actually all the stars in the universe.
The mission's significance extends far beyond pure scientific curiosity. By studying the solar wind up close, Parker aims to crack the code of these charged particles that bombard Earth's magnetic field. This knowledge isn't just academic. It's crucial for protecting our modern civilization from devastating solar storms that could cripple power grids and satellite communications worldwide. As Parker makes its historic approach, it's not just breaking speed records, it's rewriting our understanding of the very star that gives us life. The data it collects could revolutionize our ability to forecast space weather and safeguard our technology-dependent society. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
If you enjoy sipping on a mug of tea or coffee, here's some news for you. These hot drinks might do more than just keep you warm in the winter conditions. They could actually help lower the risk of head and neck cancers. A study analyzing data from nearly 25,000 people across Europe, North America, Latin America found some promising links. Coffee drinkers who consume 4 or more cups a day had a 17% lower risk of head and neck cancers overall, particularly cancers of the mouth and throat. Even decaf coffee showed benefits, especially for oral cancer. Tea lovers, however, got mixed results. Drinking 1 cup a day or less was associated with a 9% lower risk of these cancers, but having more than a cup a day could increase the chance of certain throat cancers. Researchers believe this might be due to tea potentially contributing to other health issues like acid reflux. Experts do caution that the study does not prove that coffee or tea prevent cancer. Factors like smoking and alcohol use were also taken into account, but these results still offer new insights. So while your favorite brew is not a miracle cure as such, it's definitely a nice little bonus to enjoy your daily cup, whether it's your cup of tea or not. It is Christmas round the corner as the world eagerly awaits gifts and the arrival of Santa Claus. Santa Claus has departed from his home in the Arctic Circle. Take a look.